Hello everybody, I hope you're doing well. Welcome to your Capricorn monthly reading. We're going to look at the next 6 to 8 weeks here together, exploring all the opportunities in front of us, and it's good to see everybody. So today we're starting right on time. We got a lot of energy and information around movement, which has been a common theme. Specifically with you, I saw movement and coordination. So as we look at your channel messages here in just a moment, we'll sort out everything and give you what it takes to plan. Lots of love here from little Apollo here. I'm going to put him down so we can get started. Let me introduce myself and properly get set up here. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. And as you can see, here's our format for today. We'll be sorting through all the messages from my guides as we begin with the channel messages. Then we'll go into the Celtic Cross and expanded forecast, where we look at initially what's coming through on a top level, and then we'll go into health, wealth, love, and destiny after that. Let me just pull up a browser here in the background so I can see what you're seeing, and then we're going to get started. So this morning, as I was getting everything prepared here for this, for your channel messages, the things that I was seeing in dreams were three things primarily. One was the energy of movement in the form of water, which I did a little research in how rain works, and there's some fascinating stuff that we'll talk about there. The other thing was migration, movement from one place to another. I was shown birds flying from one season to another. And then I was shown something that reminded me of kind of like Sleepless in Seattle, where they're supposed to meet at the same place at the same time, but they just miss each other. So timing that was off a little bit, or when people basically show up at each other's place just because they want to talk rather than picking up the phone and chatting. So we'll talk about how to kind of deal with all of these different things now. All right, so I like to begin with channeled messages. I'm going to pull up the presentation. That was a little preview of what we're going to talk about. Before I do that, just a quick reminder to, if you like what you see here, please subscribe. You can also follow me on social media. And here's all of my user handles. A reminder that I never use direct messages. I don't offer private readings or any services through direct messages either, or in general. So please ignore anyone that's trying to reach out and offer that. And finally, if you want to show love and support, you can do that through the system here with SuperStickers and SuperChat. All right, so let's pull up the presentation and talk about what's coming through with respect to your messages for today. So, we have three major things, like I said: rain, the sort of function of rain, how it's a cycle, how it's also part of the sort of system of the earth, migration, and coordination. All right, let's give Apollo a little love while he's getting settled here. Hey, buddy. He needs to get tucked in after we chat. All right. By the way, we'll light the candles together when I begin pulling cards in just a few moments. Okay, so agitation, it's actually a process of rain. What happens is dust particles go into the atmosphere. Also, moisture that has evaporated is in the atmosphere. It starts to kind of aggregate around these dust particles. When there's enough water, they fall. And that's a very oversimplified version of one of the sort of mechanics of rain. There's also high and low pressure systems. There's wind. There's a lot of other things. But one of the interesting pieces that I saw was that much in the same way that a pearl is formed from, agitating particle, rain has that same energy. Sometimes we need to be agitated in order to sort of like shift our attention and start to move. And when we're agitated enough, the movement becomes something that we can't avoid. Enter the tower. And the tower also is sort of like this mechanism that breaks the cycle, reduces something to its sort of basic parts, and makes us look at everything again and think, can I organize this in a different place? So if you're feeling agitated, if you're feeling distracted, if you're feeling like there's something in your life that you can't stop paying attention to, this process of agitation, much in the same way that that particle of dust helps with the overall sort of ability for rain to fall, it's also something that's going to help you move. And it actually, if we bring it into the next slide, we can think of it as an ace. Aces are seeds, they are beginnings, and they can actually start from this sort of agitation. I don't want to stay in this job anymore. I've outgrown this relationship. This place that I'm living in isn't ideal. I need to do this in order, maybe you want to change your career, you want to change your course of study in school. Something shifts where you think, this isn't me and it bothers me. That's your little droplet of water that's getting ready to put some energy into this seed here. So you need one to create growth in the other. A single thought and a simple thought can actually create a new phase in your life, or it can stop it dead in its tracks, right? So focus on one affirmative idea and feed that one affirmative thought each day. We've been talking about I am, I will, I can, I will, I am. So think first in the ability. I can do this if I put my energy into it. And then think, I will do this. And then I am doing this by X, Y, and Z. So you can figure out how you're going to feed that idea, that thought, or that shift that you want to make in your life. Like the condensation around the dust particle, eventually it's going to gain enough energy, enough weight, and it's going to then start to move on its own. So we have to keep feeding the thought, we have to keep staying positive, and we have to keep doing something about the positive thought. A thought in and of itself is just a thought. But when we combine the thoughts with action, I probably should have put two aces here. I would say like Ace of Pentacles and Ace of Swords. So, or Ace of Wands and Ace of Swords. There just has to be some movement in it, okay? Next slide, resource management. Okay, moving from the rain metaphor to what I was seeing with migration. So I did a little research on migration. I'm like, why does this happen? Why are the birds moving? There's a few reasons. For mating, of course, but also because resources dwindle in a certain environment. Something that they like to eat because of seasonal changes may not be there. It's also very good for the environment. It's kind of a cool thing that the universe factored in so that there wasn't like an over-harvesting of a resource. So birds move so that there isn't as much competition in one place as another. They often have their young in a place where it's tropical so that they can thrive and then migrate back to the place where they normally hang out. So there's a lot of thought in this, but resource management is one, and then abundance when we're looking at starting a new family, fertility, things of that nature. So we have the Two of Pentacles, which is resource management, scarce resource management, and then the Eight of Cups, which is cyclical. So let's go in a little deeper. How can this actually apply to you? In our own lives, sometimes there's a necessary and sometimes very temporary shift of focus. If you're not finding that you're productive today doing something, and it isn't due today, and there is no pressing deadline for this to happen right now, shift your focus. Go where the resources are. Go where the inspiration is. Go where the Ace of Cups is, so that you can start to see movement somewhere else, because that's going to make you feel more powerful. That's going to make you feel like you're making progress. It's also where the energy wants you to focus, and that's going to nurture you. So in the same way that we have to sort of, the birds have to manage their resources, we sometimes have to do that as well. So the Two of Pentacles I chose over the Six because the Two forces us to make a choice. This, not this. The Six is a little bit of this, a little bit of that. This now, this later. The Two is really saying, if I focus, then I'm actually back at the Ace. If I split my time, neither of these is really getting the energy that they need. So let's go where I can feel it. And if there is something that needs to be done, then ask for help if you need a little more help with that. Somehow add or subtract, but you can't sort of can't pull yourself between the two things. Okay. Coordinate and plan. So I can't remember because I never watched the original, but I think Sleepless in Seattle was based on an older movie, which I think was An Affair to Remember, something of that nature. My mom used to like that when she was alive, and I can't remember what she would say, but it's something like that. But there was a pivotal scene in both movies where they just missed each other, and almost things didn't happen. But then, things worked out. In the Sleepless in Seattle, it was basically they were going to different places at the same time. So in the dreams, what I saw was something of that nature. Two people going to each other's home or office, and the person wasn't there. So what I can say with this is that if there's a surprise that you're trying to make, this isn't the time to do it. This month would be better to plan it out. So it could be like you just want to. We don't really do that anymore. When I was a kid, I remember sometimes like the neighbors would drop in. Nowadays, that would be seen as completely rude and why are you just knocking on the door? But maybe like 15, 20 years ago, that was more normal before we were all digital. But In this month, coordinating is going to be key because it will be more pleasant for both of you, because you might miss someone, because it might actually be unwelcomed or unexpected. And so give people a chance. Speaking of like my mom, who both this year she had an 80th and then she passed away a few months later. But I had some family that was trying to surprise her, and I knew it was not going to be, I could just tell, like I felt it. And she said, I had to tell her, I said, family wants to celebrate your milestone. She said, thank you for telling me, because I probably would have had like a heart attack. She was also very tuned in because she did end up having like a blood clot and a stroke a few months later. So, not to get crazy on that, but sometimes surprises aren't a good thing. So I knew that this wasn't the time and it wasn't the place. There are times where it's better just to she was still very happy that we were doing this and she was ready for it, and it was something that she could then ease into. So not all surprises are good. Sometimes if you're trying to plan something, you might miss someone if they're not cued in. And then also on this, what I put was some information around erring on the side of over-checking details. So if you put something in your phone, there's human error. You could put the wrong date and the wrong time. So, if it's an appointment to get your haircut or a doctor's appointment or whatever it is, call back and say, by the way, I just want to confirm, did I get this date right? Because, I put it in a few months ago. Or are we still on for this week? Maybe they overbooked or the date is no longer available. So when it comes to confirming dates and confirming details, make sure that you take away human error, because that can be a part of this. Try not to ambush someone or surprise them if they're not prepared. And also, just everything's going to be better if you are on the same page. So I have 2 of Cups and 2 of Swords. We want the 2 of Cups, which is I'm cueing you in, you're a part of this, do you like this? What would you like if you're going to plan a party, etc. Rather than the 2 of Swords, which is I'm not ready for this, or I didn't see it coming, or why is this happening? Okay, so that's what I saw here. And then also just to make sure that you're avoiding any misunderstandings, which was a big part of that movie that I was talking about. People see something, make an assumption, it's the wrong assumption. Okay? And I think that was everything here. The cool thing, though, although we talked about a lot of different things here, it's movement for the sake of growth and abundance with the rain metaphor and the migration metaphor. It's also the idea of an agitated moment, creating this movement that's going to be much more fulfilling and abundant for you. And then sometimes good intentions gone wrong, so we want to make sure that we are keeping people in the loop, and then it's going to be a pleasant experience for all. So those are your messages with respect to dreams and things of that nature. And I didn't mean to bring up all the stuff about my mom. I'm in a good space, but when we are looking at people that are older, I think the surprise parties aren't necessarily a great idea. Let them know that there's going to be a gathering, and let them be a part of that. So it's all good. I'm actually in a great place, and my mom's in a great place right now too. So thank you. Okay, let's talk about what's coming next. So we're going to look at the Celtic Cross, and again, I let the Celtic Cross take whatever shape or form it needs to, rather than saying we're going to look solely at love or career. Instead, what we do is expand it to look at health, wealth, love, and destiny after that. Okay, so I've already chosen the deck of cards. I actually used it for the single card pull in the weekend. I just like it. We're going to use the Field Tarot. It's been a while since this has been in rotation. So let's give it a shuffle and see what the messages are for today. Yeah, I've been working on, I have some additional things behind me, which is helping with things sounding better. There's less echo, and there'll be less echo as I continue to put some plants and things here. I've barely been here 3 weeks, so I'm still unpacking and still getting things settled. I hope you guys like the place. All right. Let's see what's coming through. You can always use this for your sun, rising, and moon signs. This can be used for the next 6 to 8 weeks. And you can watch on behalf of someone that you care about. If you are interested in sun, rising, or moon, stick around until the latter quarter of this, and then we will be able to go deeper into those areas, because I do pull specific cards on that. We have the card that I pulled for today in the crowning position, which is cool. Eight of Cups, and I chose 2, but Six of Cups is still very compatible with that. So a lot of synchronicities with the channel messages. Let me just zoom out a little bit more so you can see all of that. An amazing deck, but it always wants me to pull 2 cards every time I use it. So we're super close to the next milestone. I think we'll actually hit it this week, which means I'll do my Q&A video soon, this week or next. I'll give everyone a chance to ask questions. But yeah, I was looking this morning, and I think we're just a few hundred away, so it should happen this week. So I'll give members a chance to ask questions first, but I want to give you guys a heads up that will be coming soon, and that will be a live reading. And then today, if I have time, I'm going to work on launching a short form video this week. People were really keen on maybe like 7 minutes or 7 things that you need to know in 7 minutes or something like that. So I'm going to do a shorter form video as well. So more to come on that. Another reason to like and subscribe. All right. I like what I'm seeing in front of us here. It looks like most of the cards are really positive. I love the unicorn that's coming through for career. So that should be fun. And I love this sort of we don't get a lot of root chakra energy coming through, but we have like the root and the second and third chakras. So there's a lot of passion and power that's coming through for you this month, which is important. Capricorn, although you're very grounded, you need that sort of push sometimes to get to that next level. Okay, so let's start with your catalyst cards. You got 2. We're going to start with the card on top, which is the creator. I like to remind everybody that you are an active creator and not just a participant, but a co-creator in your life, you and the divine. You may also find like you are very drawn to do more independent, more entrepreneurial type work here. So you want to step more into that phase of being a creator. And that's one of the cool things about what I'm doing now. And I like there's different things that you can call yourself when you're doing this, whether it's like YouTuber but I like content creator because there is a sense of ownership and creativity that's a part of that. So you are also creating content and movement and things in your life. What do you want? This is a time for you to be a little bit more in the role of a director or a producer. What is it that you want to create? Rather than being passive and waiting for things to come to you, it's so much more powerful to be in the director's or the producer's chair because you are behind the scenes making things happen. And that's the opportunity this month. I don't do personal readings anymore, but when I used to do personal readings, one of the number one questions that I would say like 8 or 9 times out of 10 that I would deal with in a reading would be love. People wanting to know if love was coming to them, and if not love, then money. It was like love or money, so relationships or work, waiting for something to happen. And whenever someone was waiting, that would be when I would say, well, then it's time to be more active about this because that's a very passive energy. We don't want to like push something out, but when you start to work, active energy can be working on yourself. So the things that you think that you need from a partner, you can actually create within yourself or within your life. So the partner isn't having to hold up all of that like Atlas. So whether it's creating something in your life that makes you more appealing for an example of work, maybe more education, taking on some hobbies or some extracurricular activities that round you out a little bit and make you more interesting. All of these are actually life enriching and fulfilling. And then the final outcome of you finding a job or finding a person is just the cherry on top. It's not the big meal. And that's really how we should be looking at some of those things. That's the icing or the cherry. You already have the cake. So keep creating some cool stuff in your life. It is what's bringing in the other stuff that you're seeking. Okay, so active creative energy. And then we have this card in reverse, and it's the medallion. This is your ace, and it feels like for some of you, this is an elusive carrot on a string. You're chasing after the ace. And so the other thing here is to realize that the Ace of Pentacles is within. So some of it is just understanding that even if you don't accomplish what you want, when you want, or when something was expected, that doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. If you don't see it, that doesn't mean that it's not possible. That's something I've been saying the past couple of days. Understand that when you embody that which you seek, you naturally find something that is receptive. It's kind of like an outlet. You know, there are certain, if you're traveling overseas, it feels like every single country has different, I don't know why globally we haven't figured out a way to just have the same receptacle across all the different countries. That would be awesome, wouldn't it? But yeah, what you use in the UK is probably going to be different from what you use in other parts of Europe or in Australia or here in the US, like all these different receptacles. We all have the same idea, but for some reason the plugs and the slots are different sizes. So you can't force something that doesn't fit. You're going to have to find the right connection. And that would be the other thing here that I would say. Pay attention to if something is pulling away from you or moving towards you. You are the magnet. You want to see yourself as something that is attracting things rather than chasing after something that's going in the opposite direction. This is particularly true of love and relationships. If the person isn't interested, that's okay. Something better is waiting. Now, if everybody isn't interested, then you start to focus a little bit and think, all right, what am I doing habit-wise, or how am I communicating? Is there anything I can adjust there? But by and large, there's usually some things coming towards and some things moving away. So one of the big messages, Capricorn, that I was pulling for you today was to focus on where the energy is and where the attraction is. And I think that's going to help you out quite a bit. All right, let's look at the cards here. In the center, we have the Nine of Swords, which has very appropriately got the caption of fear at the bottom. What I do like, though, is that she's found her way to put the fears to rest. We don't see someone awake here or afraid here. She understands there's a time and a place for fear. Fear is often the agitator. It's that necessary component that is going to help us move in or move out of some sort of energy. So if you're afraid of doing something, but your heart desires it, you find a way to figure out, how can I do it? Why am I afraid? And that's really all fear is there to do, is to educate and to illustrate and to sometimes just let you know that there's a lot at stake. If you've got nothing to lose, you probably don't have a lot to gain either. So it's okay to have some nerves. Let's make them butterflies that will go kind of fly away and lift us up rather than like stones that are grounding us and not allowing us to move. Okay? Pay attention to the quality and the quantity of your sleep. If you're having trouble sleeping, take a look at your pillows, your bed, your mattress. Take a look at the room around you and the habits that you're engaged in before bed, like how much caffeine are you drinking? What are you watching or listening to? Do you have an erratic sleep and wake schedule? For those of you that watched me from March on, you know that I had to shift for that amount of, it was like 3 or 4 months. I had to get up at 3 in the morning so I could do a 6 a.m. broadcast. So every single night I would go to bed around 7 or 8 o'clock, sometimes 6 o'clock, just to make sure that I could get up consistently at 3:30 or 4. In fact, I'd gotten so good at that, it took me most of this month to reprogram, and now I'm still kind of in the middle. So, but when I did that, then it became a new habit. The only problem was I couldn't hang out with anyone, and around 3 in the afternoon, I wanted to take a nap because I was really tired. So I needed to make sure I went to bed like an old person every day at a certain time. But if you get into that, for those of you that are like nurses and work the night shift, or maybe you do a different sort of job that requires you to get up early, you know what I'm talking about. You have to keep the schedule, and 1 or 2 nights off and you're done. So get some consistency in your sleeping schedule. Make sure that you're doing whatever you need to for stress management. And if there's any fear or anxiety, talk to a friend, talk to a counselor, work through that. It's normal, but it can also be something that helps you move. So we're looking at all forms of agitation or kind of irritation as the necessary piece to help us get into a better space, okay? We have the Four of Pentacles on top of this. This is a beautiful Four of Pentacles. Notice how it has stability as the caption. This deck kind of uses a little bit of the Thoth influences, but the Thoth deck tends to see Four of Pentacles more as a foundational card. So think of it as the four corners of the room, or basically like the cement foundation that you're building. It's certainly not enough, but it's what's necessary to make a beginning. I was reading with a deck yesterday. I think it was the Wildwood. The Wildwood shows like a fawn under the stones, like this sort of like Stonehenge-like stone thing, sort of like formation, and it's a little bit afraid to make a movement. So don't be afraid. This is the beginning, it's not the ending, and there's more to come. And don't limit yourself by what's visible. There's a lot more potential. So ask for more. That was a piece of what we talked about on the weekend. I know I've talked about it in some of our single card pulls over the past month. So unless you ask, you don't know what's possible. So ask for something and do it in a way that is both empowered and positive, and see what comes of it. No harm in asking, ever. And sometimes we just get afraid to ask because we don't want to upset somebody. All right. Very aptly kind of connecting us to speaking up. So deep past influences in this moment are summarized by the Queen of Swords. She has this sort of independent flair, as we can see with this, and even a little bit of a non-conformist flair, because we're looking at the tattoos here. So the manner in which you speak, the timing in which you speak, to some people may just seem like super outspoken or very colorful or whatever, but there is something about the way that you communicate that you don't want to lose or sort of erase. So if you look at people this has changed. I was actually listening to something on public radio talking about BBC, for instance. Usually everything had to be in the, what is it called, received pronunciation or something like that. But they've started to bring in more announcers that have regional accents, in part because people relate to people that sound like them. So we're seeing more representation in the way that people communicate. Not here in America, there's sort of like this flat accent that you would get in the Midwestern states or whatever. I kind of have some of that accent, but if you are in more of a regional place like New York or let's say like Alabama, or maybe even more of like the Valley area of California or whatever, there are certain accents that would come through and you would recognize. So we don't have to have just the flat accent now. We can have different ways of speaking, but it's also not just that. It's also like your voice should be, and when I say voice, it's like what you're saying should also have a different point of view. So your vision, your point of view, the way in and the tone in which you speak should be unique. It's going to make you memorable. So don't erase everything that is unique about you, and don't be afraid to speak up. And that is the lesson from the past. You are exactly who you need to be and how you need to sound. All you need to do is sort of like lean into it and own it, okay? As we look at recent past, we have the Prince or the Knight of Pentacles. Perfect for you. It's interesting that this is so shielded and so protected, we can't see the Knight at all. So one thing that I think you've been working on is protecting yourself. And this is almost like the call and answer here. This is the fears. This is all of the sort of like, well, if this happens and this happens. So this is what happens when you worry about all of that. You put on so much protection and so much of a shell that it's hard for people to access who you are. That's one of the reasons that I was really leaning into the uniqueness of how you look, how you sound, what you have to say. So we have here the Prince of Pentacles, and someone's saying they've never met a stressed Capricorn. I have. So the Prince of Pentacles here is saying, I put so much protection in place that it's hard for people to connect. So knowing when to let your guard down is going to be really important. The other thing here is that this person's ready for battle. So if some of you are just really engaged and ready to fight for what matters, and that I can get behind 100%. So put yourself out there. You are more prepared than you think. You might be over-prepared in some areas, and you could probably let down the defenses just a little bit and let people in just a little bit more so that they know what they're getting, right? And now this card was actually one that came through for the daily pull on the day that this video was released. It's the King of Pentacles. There were a couple things I didn't get to say in the daily pull, so we're going to talk about it here. One of the things was that this can be a very stationary card. I was talking about in the daily pull, how being comfortable is going to help you be productive. The Prince, not the Prince, but the King and the Queen of Pentacles are very much homebody cards, and house and home, domestic partnerships, and it of course is a card for money, resources, development, but sometimes it can get too comfortable. And one thing that you want to do is he kind of has this symbolic globe in his hand, is to get out in the world, to roll up your sleeves, to sort of like engage with others, because that's going to be very inspirational, and that's going to feed your energy as well, and to see how you're making an impact on the world around you. This card carries with it both High Priestess and Two of Wands energy. So the more that this is what I did say in the single card pull, but the more you can align yourself and make sure other people are aligned to this sort of cohesive vision, the more productive you can be. The only thing that's going to take you off your mojo is distraction. So if you get too complacent, if you get if you're sitting at home too much, or if you're tuned out too much, or if you're distracted, then, because this isn't the most active card, I would say it's one where you tend to sit and wait for things to happen. So if you can activate just a little bit, you are very powerful and very productive and exactly where you need to be. I would expect the King of Pentacles to come through for Capricorn. It's you personified, so it's a very good card. And you're sitting pretty, and it's right there in the crowning position. So suffice it to say, the month ahead is going to be a really good month for you. And I'm excited to see how you can make the most of it. So let's continue with the spread here. As I was talking about, I chose the Two of Pentacles, but I referenced the Six of Pentacles as a necessity here when we talked about migration, moving where the energy is, making smart and discerning choices. What I love about the Six of Pentacles is you have more than enough. It is the bare minimum that I look at for, is this the right decision for me? So if you were looking at, can I afford like a mortgage? Can I afford to go to college or invest in this? This card says, yeah, there's some sacrifices, but it looks like you're willing to make those sacrifices, and you're going to be able to bounce back from this. So there's usually give and take that's a part of the Six of Pentacles. The traditional card, I'm going to pull it up while we're talking, will show a person that has more than enough, and then we see people in their life which can represent a multitude of things, including like opportunities and actual people, but they're putting out their hands. The Six of Pentacles person realizes they can't give to everybody all the time. Here we go. So the cool thing for you is you're actually the recipient on this one. So we have open hands and you're receiving, and you can see that the open hands are here. So for some of you, this card is, that's why I needed to show you the original. So for some of you, this is saying, like I said earlier, ask and you can get. You might not get everything you want. Six of Pentacles is saying, I'll give you a component of this. I'll give you some of this now, some of this later, or there's an interest rate that's going to be assigned to this. There's something that I need in return, but you can get something that you didn't expect that you could get. You need to make a reasonable request, because the Six of Pentacles giver can deny. Now, if you are the person that is giving, you have the right to say no. This is a discernment card. That's too much. Just like I was saying, I can give you this much, but not that much. If someone wants you to come over immediately, say, I need to finish up this task. I can come over in 2 minutes, unless there's a dire emergency. Let me finish this up first, then I'll come over, and I still have a lot to do, so I can give you this much of my time and energy. Put limits around it. They're the one that's in panic. You're the one that's powerful. So you get to decide how much. And they have no choice but to sort of accept that. So remember, sometimes if someone comes to you in that panic, they haven't planned, they need help, and they're probably willing to take whatever you can give. Don't sacrifice your responsibilities to clean up someone else's mess. Finish what you need to do and then help them. It's a really good lesson for them and a really good lesson for you. We always want to be a good friend and help everyone out, but make sure that you're not letting something important slide on your schedule, okay? So it's all about balance, give and take, ebb and flow. And if this is a day where you do come to the rescue, ask them to help you out tomorrow. Say, all right, I'll do this, but I'm going to need your help tomorrow because this is going to put me behind. So give and take, ebb and flow. And everybody gets to win with the Six of Pentacles as long as that happens, as long as that clear line in the sand is met, okay? Also, there's a lot of opportunities coming into your life. You get to weigh them out. Does this give back to me? Does this feel good? Do I like where I'm headed with this, right? Super important. Okay, I actually featured this card as well. So the Eight of Cups came through when we were talking about making and breaking cycles, because that's the choice with the Eight of Cups. It's a sort of like persistently open door, perpetually open door, I should say. In relationships, this can be both good and frustrating. The good part of it is, let's say you just started dating someone. You've gone from Ace of Cups, Three of Cups to the Two of Cups phase, and it's like, I really like this person. What happens with Eight of Cups is it's sort of like where you go from testing the waters to saying, well, why don't we just, it can be like an exclusive thing. Well, why don't we just date for a while? What happens though with that is that sometimes then that becomes just the status quo, and maybe one of you wants to go to the next level and be a little bit more exclusive or more serious. So Eight of Cups is consistent, but sometimes it's hot and cold. Sometimes it's not really going anywhere. It's like walking on a treadmill. So with the Eight of Cups, you have to make a decision. Is this enough? Is the cycle enough? Is this consistency enough? Or do I want more? And that's one thing that I pick up with that. And you get to decide. Again, this is showing up with you right now. So are you happy with what you're getting, or are you kind of desiring a little bit more? Traditionally, you would also see someone on this card walking away but leaving room to return. So this card is closely associated with like a sabbatical, leave of absence, a holiday where you plan to come back, a vacation where you plan to come back, or just needing to like take a day or take 10 minutes. You will be more productive if you can do any one of these or a combination of these, basically just saying, let me clear my head and then let me come back and then let's decide. Rather than doing it in the throes of, crazy deadlines and everything, get some clarity. And that's all that I have to say with that. You're actually in a very good space. With business and with relationships, I see consistency. It's just a question of, is it enough? And that's the big, $1 million question here, because that's basically what we see here is it's not exactly even. So if we're looking for, but the Six of Pentacles is give and take. So you just have to decide, is the person giving enough or are you giving enough? Only you can decide that. When I'm looking in the environment, we have a really good card here. So it's almost as if we've been learning some lessons here. Your power, that's literally what this card says. Sometimes your generosity going to extremes here. The ability for you to create consistency, and then also the retreat, needing to kind of like take some time for yourself. Now we have what I love here, this sort of Nine of Pentacles, which is more than enough. And it takes time to get to this. Sometimes we're really impatient for the Nine of Pentacles to happen. So the card is reversed, but when we're looking at old-fashioned sort of pip cards which don't have pictures, it kind of doesn't matter when we're looking at Nine of Pentacles anymore. But the caption on this one is culmination, or we can think of that as like aggregate energy. What's happening here for some of you is that there's so much focus on achieving that maybe you haven't realized how much has happened already. So I'm looking at this as a kind of like a reflective or retrospective card where all you have to do is take a look over your shoulder and say, oh, look at how much has gathered behind me. Maybe it's a crowd, maybe it's money, maybe it's opportunity, but look at what you've started to create and attract in your life. And then decide, this is not bad, actually. I have more opportunity, power, flexibility than I thought. What do I want to do with it? Taking your time is a very important message with the Nine of Pentacles. It's also fiercely independent. And the lesson of the Six of Pentacles, which was all about deciding how much and how often, gives you the luxury that comes through in the Nine of Pentacles. Nine of Pentacles is in the environment, and it's basically saying that there are a lot of untapped resources. There could be someone that is sitting on a lot of potential that doesn't know what to do with it, or if it's in the case of an employer, I'm pulling the original card, by the way, they may not be sharing resources with you. So this is why it's important to ask, because indeed there may be someone who is just unready or unwilling to kind of like open up the purse and say, hey, yeah, we can make this happen. So here's your traditional Nine of Pentacles. We see luxury, we see abundance, we see, again, that it takes some time with the little snail there, but it's a very positive, bright yellow card. Traditionally in tarot, any card, and we even see it in the coins here, yellow is a good sign. It's power and abundance. So I see around you that you can tap into some of that, but the gatekeepers for that could be a little stingy. They worked hard to get what they have. And so they may not give you all 9 pentacles. It might be 6 or 4, some of them, not all of them. So you'll be able to achieve a certain amount. You might have to ask around a little bit. This is especially true for those of you that are looking for a grant, a loan, or financial aid of any sort for any reason. You might have to shop around to a few different lenders. Again, for those looking for college, maybe there's a couple of different scholarships that you'll couple together rather than just one. Okay? But I do see the money there, and I do see the resources there. You got to dig a little bit. All right, let's move on to the next card here, which is Hopes, Fears, and Opportunities. We have the 7 of Cups, choices, basically. And I love that they actually put choices on this card. So in the traditional illustration, you see someone looking up at the clouds, and there's like all of these different things. Each cup has something in it, like a dragon, some money, some scales, whatever. It's basically, what are you looking for? It's one of the only cups cards that's in the air. I always kind of thought it's more of an air card. It's more like swords than cups, but I get what's going on there. It's because it's saying you have to go where your heart is, and you have to think it through. It's a combination of heart and mind. So your opportunity this month is brainstorming, ideation, research and development, coming up with something new, basically. Your challenge in that, because Hopes, Fears, and Opportunity is both like a blessing and a block. The block part of this is that you could go, you get lost in the possibilities. If you've ever been in a brainstorming session, sometimes what starts to happen is the whiteboard or blackboard just gets filled up, and everybody starts talking, and it's like, how do we create some order from this? It's chaotic. So what I've usually, like if I think back to like the old corporate days, what would happen is we would do a breakout group then, because too many voices and too many ideas, it's too much. So we would capture everything, then we would break out and then see maybe in those breakout groups if we could pick a top 3 and then come back and see what was going on. So try to limit and try to organize and try to maybe put a pause button on the brainstorming or the researching. I feel like you've got enough, and it's now important to find the pattern and to find the passion. And that's a very nice segue to what's going to be important when we look at destiny in a few moments, which is, where is my heart taking me? So find the passion and then take that cup and say, that's what I want to focus on. All right. I absolutely love, by the way, one last question with this one, or one last thing with this. Questions, interrogation, curiosity, this will also help you. So if you are uncertain about something, dig a little deeper and say like, all right, there are 3 here. Let me see which one has performed best in the market. Let's see what people are most interested in. Do some research, and that can also help you eliminate, and ask some questions. Okay, not destiny, but outcome on this one. We have the 6 of Cups, and I talked about a fawn earlier. We got one here in this deck too. The 6 of Cups is about, I don't use the word soulmate lightly. Let's say karmic partner. That's a better word anyway than soulmate. So typically it's someone that you meet and you just feel this instant connection with. It could legitimately be someone from your past, like a sibling, a best friend, someone that you just have unfinished business with from this lifetime. But more often than not, the 6 of Cups can also be a karmic partnership with whom there's something that needs to be resolved. You have someone that you knew in a past life, and maybe there was unrequited love, unpaid debt, or something that was left unsaid, and you have a chance this lifetime to even the scales and then decide, do we want to continue with this? And that's always the choice with karmic partnerships. The thing here that I'm looking at is the shy energy. It doesn't matter what kind of deer, if it's male, female, young, old, they all tend to be a little skittish. I've just recently started feeding hummingbirds here, my new favorite addition to my patio. And 2 things that I noticed. They're crazy skittish. So if I open the door, they buzz and they fly away. They're also very competitive. They dive bomb all the time. So I'm always seeing birds dive bombing out there. It's kind of funny. But with the skittish nature of hummingbirds, or again with deer, you want to be careful about how strong you're coming on and how much you're letting like the past formulate or kind of like affect this present moment. We come into this lifetime with a degree of amnesia so that we are not burdened by past mistakes, past karma, and also by preconceived notions of what someone or something is. Because we can heal when we see someone through a different lens, and we can't see someone through a different lens if we're still angry, or if we're still enamored, or if we're still attached to an old version of them. So let someone show up differently and allow yourself to show up differently. Speaking of like the creator card, you are a writer in the play of your life. So if you're tired of feeling like you are beholden to someone else, I don't like the word victim, I would say like you're feeling like other people are calling the shots, then you get to see yourself as the strong one in this new relationship. If someone else always has played the role of antagonist or a negative person, see them now as as different, like they have a chance to prove themselves differently, or you're just not going to assign the title to them. I had a great spiritual teacher, and I was annoyed with someone in my life, and they said, stop putting this particular title to them because it gives them power. Just see them as a person. At their highest space, they're in an energy of love too. What they're doing in the present is a little bit myopic and twisted, but it does come somewhere from a place of love. If you can find the love, you can find the road to forgiveness. If you can find the road to forgiveness, the person doesn't really have any power or hold on you, and then you're free to walk. And I was like, these are powerful things. Okay, I can do that. I'm going to stop giving them a powerful title in my life. They're not that important anymore. They played the role of teacher and maybe agitator. That's an accurate role. There's a lot of important people now that I'm grateful for their agitation. Even like my past landlord, had that person not agitated me enough, I wouldn't have found this beautiful space. So I'm actually super grateful. I hope to never see them in this lifetime or others, but they did what they were supposed to do. They were an active participant in the play of life, and my guides sent some energy down to them to make them play that role. We have people in our life, an ex, a sibling, someone that's pretty close to you because it's the Six of Cups, and they know how to get under your skin. And maybe in the past there was agitation, maybe in the present there's a sense of, it's not such a big deal. This can also be an old flame with whom you maybe don't have any energy anymore, and there's this freedom. They can just be a person. It's just your ex. It's no longer someone that you're pining after. I don't know if any of you have had the pleasure of being able to have that happen, but maybe not even an ex, but like I once ran into a first crush, and 2 decades later, and I was like, oh, there's nothing. I was interested in that person? Okay, there's nothing now. And it's kind of cool because there was always a lingering question like, well, what if I had said something, or if I'd asked them out or something like that? But ultimately I thought, oh yeah, there's zero connection. That was never really meant to be. I'm glad I didn't put too much energy, and I'm glad I'm not wasting any more energy. If you give yourself the ability to move on, you can move on. So this particular Six of Cups is giving you a second chance, and I'm mentioning that because we have something from the past and something from the past. So there's a second chance to either do what you always wanted to do and express your love or your affection, or to release the opposite of that, which could be anxiety, anger, frustration. And so this is the chance to break the cycle. Say what's on your mind, or let your heart go free. And it's one or the other for most of us here, okay? Some of us might just be welcoming in new love, and this again could be a deep soul connection, a karmic partnership. What kind of karmic partnership is up to you? The more work you do on yourself, the more that your teacher comes in to maybe not have any lessons to teach. It's like a free session, and you can just be friends and champions of one another. And that's kind of like always what I aim for in my friendships and in my love relationships. As little teaching as possible. It should just be fun, and we should just be there to support each other as much as possible. School is no longer in session. All right, let's move on to your expanded forecast. Expanded forecast comprises 4 major pieces: health, wealth, love, and destiny. Each of these are going to be a lens that we can use to look at the cards differently. Okay, we're going to start off first with health. I like to remind you that as we look at health, I am here to help you look at energy. I'm a healer, I'm a medium, I'm a tarot reader. If there's anything going on with your physical body or your mental sort of state of being, obviously work with a professional. But I'm going to hopefully help you make some smart, energetic choices that can positively affect those other things. Okay. Let's take a look here at what's coming through for health. So we have the hawk, and it says, let spirit be your guide. The card was reversed. I think of hawks as having really good vision and sort of having that bird's eye perspective. They're also really good hunters. So with the card reversed, you may need a pair of new glasses. I had to get my new prescription about a month and a half ago, and I'm so happy that I did, because now I can see you and I can see the cards better. Make sure that if it's been too long, a lot of us, because of COVID, may have, just put that on the back burner. Do yourself a favor, get your eyes checked. This is also more of a metaphor. So what we were looking at with the Eight of Cups is perspective by taking time off, by getting into a different location. And I mentioned with the King of Pentacles, you may be more productive both today and the month ahead by working remotely, offsite, or by carving out a part of your schedule where people can't bother you. When I did have my corporate job, there was a point in one of my sort of sections where I was so inundated with meetings that I actually would be lucky to maybe have 45 minutes to an hour a day where I could just do my own work. It was nothing but meetings, like meeting after meeting after meeting. They would even book you through lunch. And if you put a block on for lunch, they would call and say, what's going on at lunch? Usually you have that free. Can't we meet with you? And I thought, this is insane. When can we actually, I shouldn't have to then stay after work 2 to 3 extra hours to get work done because there's all this meeting. So I think, and I hope some of that's shifted with again, the pandemic over the past couple of years, and we realize that we don't need to kind of hover over people so much. But if you're in a place where that happens, make sure you're carving out time in your schedule, or taking your tablet or laptop and going to a conference room and just kind of breaking out a little bit. Do not miss that. That was one of the least enjoyable parts of corporate energy. But get your perspective and trust your vision. And then if you need to check someone else's facts, you can do that as well. The hawk would do all of that. You have the capacity to go after whatever it is that you seek. And so do that, okay? Do what's best for you. Do what's healthiest for you. Other energies around wealth. Well, as we've been talking about, there is the ability to get more. You can't have everything that you want, and you may not get everything that you need from a single source. So we're looking at sourcing from multiple avenues for some of you in business. Again, when it comes to finance, it looks like you're getting in a better space. There's more to be had. There's better choices to be made. And as long as you are reaching out and being discerning, I see you trending in the right direction. If you are a freelancer, this card actually portends good things. This is a consistency card. I would prefer the Eight of Wands to the Eight of Cups, because Eight of Wands is predictable, schedulable sort of energy, and the Eight of Cups is sporadic. So maybe working to get some more. If you are a business, for instance, one thing that this would say is you're going to create a product or service that requires frequency. So when it comes to our teeth, we get that checked, a couple times a year, depending on your dental plan and the health of your teeth. For haircuts, it's maybe once a month, once every 6 to 8 weeks, depending on your type of hair and the length of hair and what you're doing to it. Maybe it's every 3 months if you have longer hair. But there's a predictability. After a certain amount of time, you have to go back. So building in that predictability in your products or services or whatever it is going to be good. A schedule will be good for you too. Okay. So how does this factor into health? Well, we need more than enough. So abundance is coming through for whatever reason to kind of help you understand that you can get what you need to have done, but don't spread yourself too thin. And I do think some of you, this card doesn't read like Pentacles, so I keep overlooking it. But some of you are giving way too much. So the Four of Pentacles is you giving it all away. The Six of Pentacles is the answer to that. There is a finite amount of time and energy that each of us have in any given day. So take care of yourself. I feel like a lot of this is under your control, because if you learn this lesson, you'll have more than enough. This is you stressing out. This is you saying no. This is you realizing, wow, now that I've said no, look at all of this that I have. So it's pretty cool, actually. And people are then more attracted to that because there's a sense of responsibility, maturity, and again, how are you getting this all done? It's amazing. Just by saying no, and just by having limits, and just by speaking up. And that's why the power card isn't at the top here. So creating stability by managing your resources. Oddly enough, we're looking, it's a lot of wealth energy here that's coming through for health, but managing your resources is going to make you sleep better, stress less, all of that. And you can do that because you've done the work to have that Queen of Swords, and your head is already in that powerful Queen of Pentacles. So I like what we're seeing here. Okay? Let me see if there's anything else. You're distracted, possibly. I talked about the only thing that takes the power away from the King of Pentacles is distraction. So if you can get focused and stay focused, that's going to help. You may need to move away from all of the sort of day-to-day distractions to do that. So whatever's necessary, by all means, do it. Get up and move a little bit more. Whenever I see the King card there sitting, and a King and a Queen, it's good to kind of get out there and move your body a little bit more. Let's see what else is coming through. Other than that, I like what I see. Moderation and balance. That's the main thing that comes through for all matters of health. And sleep, all the stuff we talked about earlier, sort of like a common sleep schedule, stress management. I think some of the resources that you're dealing with can help you with the stress management. But other than that, it looks pretty darn good. You have a decent month ahead for health. Just do yourself a favor, get eyes and ears checked. If I get any cards showing blindfolds or the eyes, it's about what you're hearing and seeing. So check that out. Not necessarily anything bad. It's just good to check it out. All right. Moving from health to wealth, we have uniqueness coming through, which I feel like I talked a great deal about earlier. So the unicorn, magical, unique, mythical, way out there. When I was trying to pitch my book several years ago, there was somebody that actually used the word like woo-woo. And I think even when I was featured once in a magazine article, that was attached to me too. I'm like, what, do people actually say woo-woo? It's not even really like an adjective. So I would say what I do is supernatural, fantastic. There's no fantasy in it, but I would use like fantastic. You could say it's far out. It's very kind of like 1960s, but I'm not afraid to go to places that make people uncomfortable because we're pushing the realms of reality. So it's kind of like the Twilight Zone. We're going into places that people don't understand. But I believe magic is a new truth waiting to be discovered, to quote Elijah from my book. So we call it magic because we don't understand it. People say woo-woo because they're afraid to look into what's possible. So don't be afraid to be unique. What you can start to do, and what I think I do decently well, is to break it down into practical elements so that we can normalize what people used to think is far out or way out or left field. So be unique and keep being unique until it's fashionable. I don't even, so someone's saying, you don't know what woo-woo is. It's sort of like someone's looking at that and they're thinking like that's crazy, that's out there, that's all the other adjectives that I used, but it's not a very good one. I had an editor that said that, and then again, an article that wrote about me that used woo-woo. And I'm like, why do people keep this is not me. What I'm doing is very normal and is very tangible and achievable. I am the least woo-woo of all the intuitives, perhaps, and maybe I should be more so, because it's just being authentic. So if that's what you call authentic, okay. I'm being authentic to what energy is coming through. People are just afraid of authentic. They want normal and predictable. And you, my friends, you're all unicorns. We're unicorns if you're tuning in here. So be a unicorn, be Pegasus, fly, have some fun. Let's see how the uniqueness is going to pay off. I already talked about vision and voice. So what you have to say and how you have, like what you see in your head, this. Okay. Let's just keep the camera down for a second. There's too many cards. So 7 of Cups is like what you're envisioning. Articulation and communication. This is so cool. So you are someone who can come up with a great idea and communicate it. And I believe that very firmly of Capricorn. I have Capricorn ascendant. So Capricorn's very capable when it comes to being a visionary and explaining that and breaking it down into very understandable terms. The other unicorn thing here is you can magically make more out of less. This is stretching a penny to go further than others could imagine. And you can get more out of that. So some of you are actually just very good with money, very good with business, very Capricorn trait to have. Some of you can actually also take other resources and grow. You might also have a green thumb. Things just tend to grow around you. So that's cool. You are engaging, and you have this ability to both be powerful but also be a visionary. Good leaders are strong. They're good bosses, but they're also visionaries. They're not afraid to inspire and go out there on a limb. The one thing that's going to be important is to not be afraid. Not to be afraid to be the star, because the unicorn is really like the star card. It's bright, it's bold, and it's different. So be bright, be bold, be different. Interestingly enough, the unicorn is kind of elusive. So there is one thing that may work in your favor is a little bit of mystique, a little bit of something. So it's kind of cool to have, even if people think it's woo-woo or out there, they're curious. They want to know more. They're going to ask you questions when they see you at the supermarket. So own it and be really strong and really happy about what it is that you do, okay? Creative energy flowing very clearly with this card. Intuitive energy coming through too. Magical stuff coming through as well. Things that you can't expect or explain. So there might be a synchronicity that opens up. There may be an inspiration that was unexpected. Go with it. I like the overall direction of money and resources from way less than enough to more than enough to absolute abundance. So we're stepping into it. You're not quite there yet, but I like where you're headed. Keep trying different things, keep shifting it up, and keep being authentic, and then we see you going towards this. Partnerships have been coming through for a lot of cards as I'm looking at the month ahead, as we're looking at September. So Capricorn, you are no exception. There may be a business partner or a friend in life or friend in love that might bring in more resources for you as well. Okay. We're good there. One last thing, know what you want, know who you are, and be willing to state that and go after that, because if you're clear, others are clear, and if you're not, then they're confused. Okay, moving on to relationships. There's no place like home, nestle into the sweetness. I talked about how the King of Pentacles is a homebody. He is associated with house and home, domestic bliss, power and money. There's really not a lot of bad things with the King of Pentacles in the upright position. He can go into excess sometimes, so make sure that everything in moderation. But it's like one of the few things. But in the upright position, I'm not getting any of that. I'm just getting the positive, affirmative things. So some of you are trying to find the place that feels like home when it comes to either the place you're living or the relationship. We're looking at people. So there could be you being tugged to move in with someone. The distance between you and between someone else may be a little bit difficult if you're working with a long-distance relationship. You might be having this sort of wanderlust, this desire to travel that's coming through. The desire to travel could be pulling you closer to someone. There's something about the environment that very much is going to either attract or push away future partnerships. Wherever you are living or working, it should feel like home. It makes all the difference. I didn't realize how not at home I was feeling until stepping into this. Even when I decided to get like this room set up first, and then I'm doing one room at a time, like this room, my bedroom, the office, and then just little tiny spaces so that everything was, that I had like delineation between the different rooms. But that helped, just kind of like having it set up, but then also just, it's quiet. There's no jackhammers, there's no, difficult personalities, and that makes a big difference in your ability to be open, be productive, be happy. So in relationships, is the person you're with, are they there helping you, or are they nagging you? Are the two of you each other's friends, or are you constantly finding fault with one another? What you want to look at, again, is it agitating or is it nurturing? We want to bring more of the nurturing and calming energy in this month, because as a sign that's connected to Earth and Pentacles and nurturing, you want that feeling of being grounded and at home, right? So let's help you with that. Let's get you into that energy of feeling cozy. Your office should feel clean and clear. So if you do still go to a traditional office, clean your desk, bring in a plant, get the place looking good. A couple of little things make all the difference. And a picture from something that you like, a vacation that you had, someone that you love. So have a picture, a plant, and a clean desk, and that's going to help you be more productive, believe it or not. At home, same thing. Delineate spaces. I didn't have that ability in the other place because it was like all one big room, basically. So I have a couple of spaces here that allows me to be able to kind of separate work from sleep from doing something else. So it's nice to have that. If you can compartmentalize, do that. If you can't, then being able to step away is going to be important too. Getting that peace of mind, taking a break, all of that. And that's going to help you with your relationships. All right, specifically looking at 3 different types of relationships. Those that are in love or in a relationship, those that are seeking a relationship, and those that are single but happy, yet nonetheless curious what's going on. So if you're in a relationship, there is either some stress, anxiety. It could be with you, could be with someone else, could even just be sort of like something going on with the health, like we were talking about, not getting enough sleep and being cranky. But there's something initially, there is a little bit of agitation that needs to be dealt with. Thankfully, that's about it. The rest of the spread is pretty manageable. We didn't get the Tower. We didn't get the Devil. We didn't get the Ten of Swords. We're just getting something going on in the moment that's agitating. So if you can deal with that, it feels like it's going to be easy to identify, then good. That's going to be good. And we actually see 2 happy cards here, figuring out where to compromise and having peace. The other thing that I see here is reallocating resources. If you've been doing one thing and you're sick of it and you have the luxury of having a partner, change the roles up a little bit. Say, I need a break from this. Can you help with this? Because you have everything you need here, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You got the 10 of Pentacles just split in a weird direction. So it's time for the partners to kind of shift it up a little bit. 60-40, now it's going to have to go 40-60 so that you can take a break and that they can do more, or 50-50 so that there's more balance between the two of you. So I see an imbalance, and maybe you're stressed about asking for what it is that you need. Remember, you'll probably get what you want or a component of that, so just speak up. Together, when we're looking at the environment, we don't have the perfect 10. We have a 9 of Pentacles. That's more than enough. So you have to meet each other halfway, make a few compromises, but it's going to work out. So I just see for many of you this sort of decision around resources, time and energy, first and foremost. This can also be like, I miss you. I don't see you anymore. So deciding to have like a couple nights of the week where there's a date night and you're going to put your phones on Do Not Disturb, watch a movie, go and take a walk, or, spend some time, quality time together. Intimacy is in multiple forms, not just physical connection. It can just be spending time and space together. There could be conversations around money. We can't ignore that when we're looking at all of these Pentacle cards. That seems to be the major agitator in existing relationships. There'll be some questions, but then there'll be a new calm and a new peace that can be formed. You're going to take the lead in this. You're the King of Pentacles. The power is with you. And so own it. So I like that. When you're going into a conversation, try not to put all the defenses up. Be open, be a little bit vulnerable. It'll be something that is going to open the other person up too. This reminds me of that character from like Game of Thrones, the original, that guard or whatever, like you couldn't see his face and everything. Was it the mountain or something? But yeah, we need to be able to see you. This is too imposing. So let some guards down a little bit so the person can see where you're coming from. Okay, for those of you seeking a relationship, your time and energy still needs to be balanced. Right now, you're probably working too much or maybe too little. There's something off a little bit around your either motivation or exhaustion. So if you're burned out, take some time off. If you're working too much, make some space so that the person that you're seeking can come into your life, so that you have a night or two off where you can hang out, so that you've been able to take care of your own affairs, so that your money and your health isn't going by the wayside because you're putting all your energy into work. Got to find your balance first. We have an interesting connection here. This is the person from the past, so we can identify, even though it's in the deep past, we see 2 cards of return coming. So this is your partner. We see a Queen of Swords. This is someone who is outspoken, who is comfortable in their skin, who is a little bit different from maybe what you were expecting, but maybe everything that you wanted or needed. So if you're open to a surprise, then I see a surprise coming here, and it could be an air sign. So Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. We have some sort of strong air energy entering into your life. Let me see if there's anything else here. One of the important things when manifesting a partner, this is specifically for those that are seeking it, is what do you want? If you don't know, then the universe can't provide. We don't want to be so exclusive that nothing can meet it, but we want to be specific enough that we're not just saying, send me a person. Because it's so generic that you're going to get, it's just like whatever random person is available. The universe is like, here you go. You wanted a person. So be specific that you want someone that is available, mature, financially stable, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Put those things out there. The attributes may be a little bit of a surprise. Again, may not look exactly like what you thought, but may still be, you still need to have that chemistry, but you may be surprised at who you're attracted to. That's what I'm picking up on. Okay. Deep connection in both existing and also upcoming relationships. It's kind of like you meet them and immediately you think, I want to talk to them again, or I need to get to know them, or this is the one. So I like that. It should be very easy to know that this is a good energy to connect with. For those of you that are single and happy, a lot of personal growth is coming through. The fact that the King of Pentacles is here and he's learning all of these lessons around limits and resources, it's the primary thing. You're still going to find a new friend or partner. As you're doing this, someone is drawn to the person that you've become. You're not looking for someone, but I see someone that's looking at you or looking for you. Good month to find a new job. Good month to network and to find new friends. And one of those new friends may actually develop into something more, even though you're not looking and you're single and happy. Sometimes the universe has its own plans. So it's a good month in general across all relationships. You can manage the stress or change if you have to make it. You can pull in someone really interesting, and you can work on yourself, and in doing so still pull in someone even when you're not looking. So I like all of the energy of this month for Capricorn. It looks pretty good. Be yourself. Again, no place like home. One thing that we learn in the Wizard of Oz is that all of those characters that were seeking things that they thought they didn't have, they had from the very beginning. The wizard gives them these little awards and plaques and things, but, you know, they always had, the lion always had his bravery. The scarecrow always had a brain, and who didn't have a heart? I can't remember. The Tin Man, right? Each one of them had the thing that they always thought that they didn't have. So you have whatever you think you don't have, so just own that. And then if someone comes in and sees something you don't, it's just like the wizard or Dorothy. They can see that you had it, okay? All right, focusing on what's all this about this month. Well, we have in your destiny the heart fire. So inspiration, passion, power, it's striking this month. This is primarily red, so we're looking at the root chakra first. We have a little bit of orange and yellow. It almost skips orange, and it goes... This is red. You can't necessarily see it on the camera. It looks a little more orange, but in real life, it's more red. So let's say there's a combination of security and grounding, and then it kind of skips straight to the power center, which is third chakra. I want to see a little bit more of the second chakra, which is sexual expression and creativity. Let's bridge the gap here. So your heart, yeah, it's going to be a part of this as well, but we don't want to miss that ability to express who you are, what you want, basically express yourself, and then also to be as creative and as unique as you want. So the unicorn is reminding you, activate that second chakra as well. So as intuitives, a lot of times we go here, 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 and here, and we forget about 1, 2, and 3. So the root chakra, the sexual or sacral chakra, and then the solar plexus. We need to activate those 3 so that we have a strong connection to the planet. When I first had an intuitive awakening, there was an angelic guide that came through. And the first thing that it did was it cleared out my energy system and it activated the lower chakras first. And then it was like almost like this pipe cleaner. It pulled the energy up from the root through the crown. And it was so much of a clearing and cleaning. I had to try to catch my breath because most of us haven't felt a full activation in all of them. But unless the lower ones are open, a lot of times people that aren't really on a spiritual path, they may only have the lower ones open and not the higher. A lot of times spiritual people only focus on developing the higher, so it's like lopsided. So just make sure everything is open and grounded, and you're going to be able to channel more energy from your crown, and you'll be able to open up more creatively. So ground yourself, express yourself, and speak your thoughts in your mind, and that's going to help you become more connected. All right. Let's move on to the big idea. The big idea is a chance for us to look at one thing that'll help us the most. So let's see what the universe wants us to focus on. Well, hello there. We've got the Two of Cups. So no surprise here. I think it was Scorpio that I was reading for that had like love card after love card. The Two of Cups was reversed, but it's still a very, very positive energy. So Two of Cups, basically saying, first and foremost, unconditional love. So if we focus it on the reverse state, this is basically saying, I'm capable of achieving this cosmic union, because we have the word union at the bottom, if and primarily if I love and see myself as someone who is capable, strong, powerful, lovable. So I really want you to focus on accepting, celebrating, and in a non-egotistical, but just a very sort of spiritual way, loving who you are and embracing and getting excited about what you want to develop next within yourself. If there are things that we're all wishing and wanting for more, that gives us something to look forward to. I'm so happy that there's surprises every day, that there is new things that I can do here on this channel, that there's still boxes that I have to unpack, that there's people that I haven't met. There's a podcast that I want to launch. There's things I always want something on the horizon, or life is boring. So when it comes to you, think about what it is that you are next developing into. Right now you're in the chrysalis. Let's push through and become the butterfly. Let's see what's next, but you're still in the developing and the cooking process. So love who you are and love who you're becoming, and then someone else is going to see that and get really excited. I love the purple and blue hair on the female in this particular card. I also love that they keep putting like tattoos and body art on these different people. Individuality keeps coming through in this particular deck. And by the way, I'm using the, I just forgot it. It's not Fountain. It is Field. They're very close. Actually, they look very close, but this is Field Tarot. Beautiful, beautiful illustrations. So one thing I like with the Field Tarot is its ability to kind of show us that we need to think outside of the box. So be yourself, and then don't be surprised if whoever you're calling in is also very unique. We're getting a unique sort of flair. Okay. Yeah, the reason I confuse it is because the other one is called Fountain. They're two Fs, and they both have very abstract imagery. The Fountain Tarot is much more airy, like there's just a lot of white space in it. This one is all filled in and the images are flatter. But if you put them side by side, they're in the same universe of creativity. This one, though, doesn't have any people on the minor arcana for the most part. Sometimes animals, but no people. Okay, so by the way, one last thing. Love and relationships can't be ignored. So your key to success, growth, and development this month is going to be someone, or like it's either a partner, a friend, or a love interest. You're getting a lot of love cards. We can't ignore it if we're starting to see card after card after card. And even this one shows people coming in here as well when we were looking at love. So be comfortable in being more visible. That's going to be a part of that. Okay, let's now take a look at blessings and blocks. Self-explanatory. Let's see what we can embrace. Let's see what we might have to modify a bit. Blessing, change. Block is healing, but we'll delve into this a little bit more. So very sort of, almost not quite Day of the Dead. We would have had like flowers in the eyes, but it kind of reminds me of that. So the Death card, change and transformation, seeing something from a different perspective. It's a blessing. Some of you are in the understanding or in this sort of moment of seeing, I need something more. I thought this was what I wanted, but it shifted. And so you're starting to see something in a different light. And we also can't stop or necessarily control all the components of transformation and death and change. So are you going to embrace the changes that are going on here, and then even in a wider perspective in the world, because you're being asked to move and move a little bit more quickly. So something is coming to a close, but also something is opening up. There's always one door that opens when one closes. So look for that open door and imagine that it's going to be brighter, better, more engaging, worth this sort of like difficult experience that you might have been through, and something better awaits you. If you give yourself the ability to dream and believe that it does. If you believe that it doesn't, can't, or won't, you've already negated the possibility. So always keep an open mind. The only potential block this month is that you may need a little bit more time to rebound. When it comes to grief in general or adjustment, each one of us grieves at a different pace. Each one of us has a different level of comfort when it comes to change. But the more you're willing to release, the more you're willing to explore and just see what's there, the more that the heart is going to be able to rebound. So for many of you, this is a rebound month, and there's nothing wrong with rebounding, by the way. This is the ability to bounce back. But for some of you, it could be a little challenging, a little tricky, a little bit soon to kind of step into something. So the image that comes into mind is like the angel from Temperance. One step at a time. Just dip your foot in the water and see how it feels. And then maybe just a little bit more the next day. Pretty soon you're going to be swimming. But you have to just take a step at a time, an inch at a time, and I think that's going to be the key here. It is reverse, and it's saying, I choose happiness, I'm ready for healing, but I have to do it at my own pace. Fair enough. So just let people in your life know that. And let them know your comfort level with change, but understand that change is happening nonetheless. Okay? Let's take a look now at the viewers and readers' choices. So in this portion, we're going to dig a little deeper and see if there's some stuff that we can get some more clarity on. Let me grab my keyboard and let's take a look at everything here. So I'll keep myself here so it's not too lonely while I'm typing all of this. All right, so let's look here. I'm really curious about the nature of the karmic relationships. So I'll put that out there as a choice for you. So what karma needs to be released, I guess we could say, because we see the karmic energy coming through. How to advocate for more resources. How to advocate for more resources. And I'm going to look at change because it came through here. How to work your passion, how to invoke, explore, create. I think that's good. Those are different ways to kind of bring in passion. And so I feel like that's enough for you guys to explore. While you're looking at those choices and telling me which one you want, I'm going to take a look at our lovely little death card here. I always like to go for the one that is kind of like, that might be off-putting for people. So I'm going to help you through that. So how can you deal or lean into the energy of change? Let's take a look and see. Okay, I feel like this card has come up a couple of times for various reads. We have the Five of Wands here. So it's the Five of Wands in reverse, and we see competition. So one thing that I would say with this is you should not have to work too hard to make something amazing happen. If you are consistently getting rejected, pushed away, or doors are being shut, and we're talking like maybe dozens of times, not just once or twice, then there may be a different or a better avenue for you. if you are consistently the one that has to sort of like pull the commitment out of someone, like for hanging out, for showing up, for paying the bills, whatever it is, what we're seeing here is that's exactly where the energy needs to shift. The Five of Wands should be lifting you up. There should be cooperation and there should be collaboration, not so much competition, not so much fighting. In the Rider-Waite-Smith one, we see different people at different angles pushing. They're kind of like not getting anything done. It's just spinning wheels. So if you're just spinning wheels, that's precisely where the change needs to happen, if I can pull the card up. So for many of you, that's where you need to like let go of something. Or say, I'm going to do this differently. What's expected isn't what's working, so I'm going to change it up. Less work, more movement. Okay, let's take a look at what you guys chose. Overwhelmingly looking at the karma, so that's a great choice. Let's take a look and see how and where this sort of karmic energy is coming through. So in existing or new relationships, what's the karma? How can we release it so that we can really embrace the person for what they are, the opportunity for what they are? Okay, Two of Wands. So in a past life or in this life in the past, what we're looking at was a lack of vision and a lack of being on the same page at the same time. So for some of you, it could be unrequited, or it could just be someone who just wanted you to fit into a mold that you didn't fit into. Because the Two of Wands is very much you looking at something, knowing you can accomplish it and being able to go there. But someone who lacks the vision thinks that it can't happen. So they reject or they force you to do something before you even had a chance to do it. So if it's mom or dad, you might have thrown out a career option and they laughed at you, or they scolded you, or they simply said, you're not going to do that, you're going to do this. And that didn't give you a chance to spread your wings and go where you wanted to go. They crushed the crystal ball before you had a chance to look into it. So now you're going to reclaim that energy and say, your lack of vision is not my problem. Your lack of vision is your own. I see this and I'm going to do this, and I reclaim this part of me. So you get to reclaim and rewrite who you are. And you're never too old, too young, too experienced, or too inexperienced to do this. Now is the day that you recreate what it is that you lost, because you didn't really lose it. It was just put on pause. So for many of you, someone lacked vision, because if I think of Two of Wands at its core, it's about the ability to see and then do. So someone couldn't see your potential and they snuffed it out. And it could be in any way, shape, or form. It could be a relationship, it could be career, it could be some other sort of developmental thing that I'm not touching upon. I'm here to tell you that you have every right to explore that. That was not necessarily accurate or correct for them to kind of step in and do that. The other thing is, maybe you just, in the past, couldn't articulate who you were or what you wanted. And therefore, people just didn't know how to show up for you. And so instead, right now, you have this powerful opportunity to say, this is who I am. Full stop. No asterisk, no sort of like, isn't that crazy or whatever? Just, this is me. This is what I do. This is who I am. So you get to be bolder, stronger, and more powerful in this lifetime, where in the past, there might have been this sense of shyness, not necessarily weakness, but shyness and insecurity that led you to not sort of like be as powerful as you can or could have been. So this is your chance to reclaim power, to reclaim a piece of you that wasn't allowed to be there, and show that person your potential. See, I told you, or see, this always existed, or just see me. Let's forget about like the I told you piece, just like see me for what I am. The see piece is correct, all the rest we can drop. That's the message when I'm looking at that. Okay, so let's move into sun, rising, and moon messages. So the sun, rising, and moon are going to help us get a little bit more clarity. So some of you may have one or more placements within this sign, or maybe watching for someone who has a placement. This is going to help you. So I focus on these because these are the three that we look at the most typically when we're looking at readings. So let me pull the cards and then we'll dig into them a little bit deeper. Sun, rising, moon. All right, let's talk. First things first, we're going to look at sun sign message. So Capricorn, if you were born under this sign, this message is for you. We have the 8 of Pentacles, a return on investment. I like the word dedication, which is on this. I like that we see many moons representing those pentacles, and understanding that, yes, there is an investment or a sacrifice, but it's totally worth it. This is cool because a lot of times this card comes through to represent college, school, training, learning. All of these things would take many moons to complete. And what you want to do is stay focused on what it is. What we sometimes try to do in these like collegiate or training or knowledge expanding motions that we go through is to just get to the end. And I know I was guilty of that when I was a student. So for any of you out there that are going back to school, or if you happen to be in school, my message for you today is to don't rush it and soak it in a little bit more than you are, because this is a very brief period in your life. 2 years, 4 years, 6 or 8. It sounds like a lot, but in the whole spectrum of your entire life, it's so short. So if you can really drink in any moment where you're learning and expanding, even if it's a one-day thing where you get to meet someone that you really respect and they're again, sort of like a master at whatever they do, and you get to apprentice underneath them for a little bit, one day with them, soak it all in, because these are sort of magical exchanges. So anything you choose to invest in right now, there's a great amount of energy that comes out of it. Sip it in a little bit more, drink it in, soak that energy in a little bit more. Your dedication will pay off. You may be frustrated by how long it's taking, but it's worth it. Pay attention to details. This is a card that would come through for like contracts to tell you to look at fine print. It's an editing card. So for those of you that write or that are doing something like a proposal or there's some sort of scientific paper, this is research, and it's going a little bit deeper and making sure that you've edited, that you've put in all of the potential details that you possibly can, that you flesh out that bibliography, all of that stuff. Details, details, details. And then let me see if there's anything else with this one that I want to talk about. Just the power of putting things down into written words. So, think it, say it, do it, but also write it. So I would say, think it, write it, say it, do it. The writing piece is a contract for you, contract with yourself. It's a plan, it's a goal, and put it into the physical realm. It kind of made it pentacles. That's why you would see this as a writing card, because you're taking something and putting it into the material realm that's here and here. So that's why writing is powerful, why sort of carving runes is powerful, because you're putting energy into a symbol. Words are symbols. We put them into, and when we speak them, it's an incantation, right? That's the reason that when we say a bad word, it's a curse word, because we're putting negative energy, we're infusing negative energy towards something or someone. So there's magic in words and writing and speaking. Use it to your favor. Make something magical. Use the higher words, by the way, too. So affirmative, positive, high energetic words, and say them, speak them, write them. Okay. Let's move on from sun to rising. Well, rising, you're already one step up here. So for those of you that have this in your ascendant, it's going to be a really good month. The 3 of Pentacles is recognition. It's completion. It's an award. It's publishing. It's a great contract that really doesn't need much revision. So for those of you that have already gone through that 8 of Pentacles moment, this is the payoff. Even though, for whatever reason, 3 is better than 8 in this suit, it is. And this is the apprentice, this is the master, or this is the teacher, and this is the student. So for those of you that were born under the sign, you're still going through some of the learning. For those of you that have it in your rising or ascendant, now you're applying what's been learned, and you're teaching, and you're succeeding, and you're exploring new things. Great time to submit. You don't need to edit anymore. So for you in this phase, if you have something that you've been working on, whatever you need to finish, but then it's very much ready for submission or publication or release. If you've been waiting for people to recognize or to see you, get yourself out there, network, this is a good time. Typically in this card, you would see people paying attention to the work that you're doing. And everything's coming together. Everything's pointing upward. I love it. Great, great energy. This is a good month for you. I would say both for the sun and the rising, we're looking at a great energy when it comes to overall resources. You're sitting in a better place than you were in the month prior, okay? Now let's move on to the moon sign. So for those of you that are a Capricorn moon, we have some decisions to be made. And I actually love that we don't have the word indecision for the Two of Swords. I always like to remind people for Two of Pentacles and Two of Swords, it's just a choice. We literally got choices on the Seven of Cups. There's choices there too. But with the Two of Swords here, I would say what's important for you is to think, what do I want and where do I stand? That is going to be what helps you decide which path to take. Not what do other people expect, not what do they want, not what looks good on paper. What do I want? What do I stand for? What's closest to that? What's going to help me accomplish the goals, dreams, and aspirations that I have? There's something that you want a little more, like a little bit more, or that is more aligned with you. That's the choice. And if you can't make a decision, at some point you have to just move. You can always course correct. So there's sometimes is just a shade of gray where things look very, very similar. And your opportunity is simply to break the tie, make a choice, and keep doing the best that you can in any given moment, okay? You'll get through this. Once you've gone through that step of, I don't know, then you have something to focus on and you'll make it work. At the end of the day, like Project Runway, make it work. You sometimes have a limited amount of time and you've committed to something, finish it up and then move on to the next thing, okay? Because indecision is stagnation. Decision is movement. Decision is power. So make a choice, you'll be okay. You'll make another choice after you make that choice. You'll learn from each choice. You're not so stuck to one thing as you might think you are. All right, let's quickly look and see where we're at and what's next. We're going to move on to the final portion here in just a moment, which includes 3 pieces: a brief meditation, a brief sound bath, and then a final card. The final card is a lot of fun for you because if you have a specific question, you can ask it silently, and I'll pull a card to give you the energy of that. Okay, before we get to that portion, a quick note. We're really close to a milestone. I think we'll hit it within the next week or so. So once I get to 325,000, I will do a Q&A. I'll post it first. It might be like next week, but I'll post it so you can ask questions, and then I'll plan when that reading is going to be. So it looks like we're pretty close. This is a great way for you also to know when I do dailies or some of the new sort of medium and short form videos that I might be promoting and releasing. Join me on social media as well to get some reminders. Remember, I don't use DMs and I don't offer private readings. You can show support here if you'd like to. It's optional, but it helps the channel growth, and I'll say thank you at the end. Let's meditate, and then let's get to that final card. So I really like some of the messages here that we were seeing around being a creator. I also like the energy of, as we're looking at all of these cards, about finding balance. Let's see if I still have this card here. The Nine of Pentacles may be a fun card to kind of meditate with, which is the richness and lushness of all of this sort of energy around you. So let's do that. I'd love for you to imagine yourself sitting in like a traditional English garden. You're at a bench and there's all of these beautiful flowers. They're almost overgrown like you would see in an English garden. It's not perfectly tended to. There's just this sort of natural flowing energy around you. It looks like you're just walking in nature. I'm tuning into like lavender and honeysuckle and these sort of sweet smells all around you, which are bringing in all the pollinators. And what's beautiful in this moment in time is you're focusing on how much is around you, how rich the world is, and how much is flowing energetically around you. Take a moment like you would see in this card, walk around the garden, and take a moment to, if there's any sort of fruit trees, you can hold the fruit for a second. If there's a flower, you can bring it up and gently smell the beautiful fragrance. Touch the energy around you and see what's out there, and realize that you are capable of tapping into that. There's a richness of resources that are abundantly flowing around you. So it's every single color in the rainbow. The flowers are a certain color, the leaves are a certain color. I want you to tap into it and start to see all of these beautiful colors swirling around your auric field, almost like a rainbow. Rainbow after rainbow wrapping around you until they all form together into this beautiful bright white light. And if you were to see yourself, you would just be a luminous figure standing there in this beautiful garden, touching and connecting with all of nature around it. See something in your life that you want to see this abundance flow into. It could be a relationship, it could be better health, it could be abundance in wealth, it could be career or life opportunities opening up. Just see a pathway opening from you to that dream or that ambition, and see the energy starting to open up and flow. See things starting to grow just like they are in this garden. And focus on that while we play the singing bowl. Take one last deep breath. Bring your hands into a nice sun salute. Hold them at the center and say to yourself the mantra that we've been saying all month. I can achieve that which I seek. I will achieve that. I am achieving that each and every day. I can, I will, I am. All right. On the next natural exhale, I want you to open your eyes and then focus on the question that you have for me. Keep it in your heart, keep it in your head for a second, and then I'll come back and we'll take a look and see what the answer is. Okay, if you haven't already opened your eyes, please do so. Focus on your question. Let's see what the answer is. All right, so we have a page card coming through, Page of Wands, looking at the beautiful mountains ahead, and the caption on this is exploration. As a yes/no, it's an emphatic yes, especially for a new opportunity. This is saying you owe it to yourself to explore and see what's possible. I love pages because they're at that sort of powerful conduit of being able to ask for what it is that they want, to also negotiate if they need to. They're right in the middle of all the action. So you may find yourself in the throes of action this month. Some of you may have this feeling of like, I'm going to fight what I want, fight for what it is that I want. So we already saw that energy coming through, and you're totally capable of doing that. One of the things actually as I'm looking at that is this ability to also realize that you're progressing on this journey. You don't have to prove yourself so much anymore because we go from the knight to the king. So there is this sort of energy of saying, I can do this for myself. I don't have to prove it to someone else. And you owe it to yourself because of that to just try different things. Princess of Wands would be very open in her mind, in her imagination, in her heart. Because of not just the word exploration, but because she's a page and there is just this sort of fluid energy. So the more open you are to different experiences, different approaches, just different energy in general that's going to help you accomplish whatever it is that you need to accomplish. Okay? Good card overall. Really nothing negative there that I have to say. It's a great card, great energy. It looks like there's some new things opening up for you. That, my friends, brings everything to a close. I'd like to end with gratitude. So if it's your first time, welcome. Please, like I said earlier, please like, subscribe, and share this as well so that others can see this and, of course, join me on social media. But for those of you that have been longtime supporters, maybe a member or just a subscriber, so good to have you back. Thank you very much. I'm going to take a couple moments here to send some gratitude to the newest members and to anybody that gave a sticker or a chat, super sticker or super chat. So we'll begin with members. Let's see if there's anybody that joined today. It looks like Susan Priam, brand new member. Thank you for joining. Hande, I think it is. Thank you as well for rejoining after 5 months. Cindy V, thank you very much for joining, brand new. Julie Lenz, and I think everyone else is from yesterday, but I'll say them just in case. Elia, Million, Mora Moss Daily, and yeah, I think all of those comprise everyone from the past day. So welcome or welcome back to those that are rejoining. All right, now for super stickers and super chat. Give me a moment here and I'll say thanks to everybody. All right, so super easy. We just have 2 today. Thank you so much, Aphrodite Goddess 369, for showing up consistently and giving back today. And Valerie, thank you so much as well. Everybody, thank you. I appreciate your time, your energy, and your presence today. Thank you for working on yourselves as well. And again, keep an eye out for the Q&A video, which I'll announce as soon as we hit that next milestone. All right. Until then, lots of love and light to all of you. Join me later this week if you would like to. I'll be reading a special bonus reading coming up on Thursday. That's already on the main page, so you can set a reminder. I believe Aquarius is next. Then I'll be doing Weekly Collective on Sunday, and then Pisces on Monday. And sometime around all of these, we'll probably have a Q&A if I hit the milestone. And if not, there might be another video that I'll be putting out this week. So keep an eye on the main page for more information. Until then, lots of love and light to all of you. Have a great day, and thanks again for showing up. Bye-bye.